As the sun lowers behind the 7 hills of Rome, a hush begins to fall over the city. It is the end of another day, one filled with movement, transactions, noise, and effort. But now, as dusk draws near, the eternal city shifts its tone. The marketplace quiets, the forum empties, and the hurried footsteps of the morning are replaced with a slower, more deliberate pace. The streets, once crowded with carts and cries, now bask in a mellow glow. Buildings of white marble and red tile soften under the fading light. You can see it how the orange and pink hues of the sky kiss the rooftops and trickle down the walls, making even the plainest taberna shimmer with ancient elegance. The air, warm but no longer oppressive, carries the mingled scents of baked bread, sweet wine, olive oil, and the last embers of a day's fire. Children's laughter grows distant, like a dream dispersing. Vendors quietly fold their canopies, sweep their stalls. An older man, a merchant of cloth, wipes his brow with a linen handkerchief and pulls the wooden shutters closed, letting out a long breath as if to say, the labor of the day is done. It is in this moment, a shared stillness among thousands, that Romans turn their thoughts to rest. But for many, true rest comes not in solitude, but in ritual, not in isolation, but in the warmth of company and steam. This is the hour of the thermi, the bathhouse, a place not only to cleanse the body, but to purify the soul from the dust of the world. We begin our walk now toward such a place. The streets narrow in some parts, widening in others. Our path leads us past painted walls, some with bright frescoes fading at the edges. A woman waters potted herbs outside her modest home. A dog stretches in the final sunlight, unbothered by the quiet drift of time. As we approach the slope of the Aventine Hill, the tiled roofs begin to slope as well, and the cobbled road dips into the shadow of cypress trees. The warm light now comes in streaks between branches, past columns, bouncing softly from the smooth limestone walls. A flock of birds passes overhead, just visible against the sky's deepening blue. One by one, oil lamps flicker to life in doorways. The lampshades are often made of bone or painted clay, etched with scenes of gods, animals, or mythic stories, a visual prayer for peace, rest, and safety through the night. We pause for a moment by a public fountain. Water flows from a lion's head carved in stone, steady and clear. A child kneels to fill a small clay vessel. She giggles as the cool water overflows, then runs back to her mother, waiting nearby. Water is sacred here, not just in necessity, but in identity. Rome is water. Its lifeblood flows through aqueducts, through pipes hidden beneath mosaics, through channels feeding gardens, fountains, cisterns, and of course, the bathhouses. One of the greatest achievements of Roman ingenuity was not conquest, but comfort, not military might, but civil design. And the bathhouse, the therma, stood as a jewel in that crown. Accessible to both rich and poor, the bathhouse is not a place of rank, but of ritual, a place where the senator and the stonemason, the merchant and the mosaicist, can all dissolve into the same steam, equalized by warmth and water. Our destination nears. As we round the corner past a row of fig trees, it comes into view. The baths of Caracalla, or perhaps the more modest baths of Agrippa, depending on which path we take. For now, let us imagine a large yet tranquil structure built of brick and concrete, dressed in imported marble and shaded by cedar and palm. Its outer walls rise high, adorned with arched windows open to the sky. Through those windows, torchlight flickers and dances. Columns support vaulted ceilings within, and terracotta statues guard the entry like silent sentinels. Etched above the entrance, an inscription reads, Salus per aquam, health through water. We slow our steps as we approach. Other bathers move quietly toward the entrance. Men in tunics, some carrying towels, others walking barefoot, their sandals tucked into satchels. Women approach the separate women's section on the other side of the complex. A young boy carries a small basket of oils and unguents. A gray-haired man in a scholar's robe tucks a scroll under his arm. Perhaps he will read as he reclines in the tepidarium. The scent in the air shifts again. It is spiced now, laced with hints of eucalyptus, myrrh, and thyme. The herbal oils used in massage and cleansing float out through the open windows. There is warmth even before entering the promise of the caldarium beyond the gates. Before we cross the threshold, we pause to absorb, to breathe. All of Rome's noise seems distant now. The Forum is quiet. The Tiber flows softly beyond earshot. Here, in this moment, all is still. We pass beneath the arch. Inside, the air changes. It is hushed, humid, and golden. Light from countless oil lamps casts long, flickering shadows across frescoed walls. The floor beneath us is a patchwork of marble green, red, and ivory veined. In the corners, statues of gods and nymphs look on, their stony gazes not imposing but gentle, as if to welcome. There is no rush. The bathhouse is not a place of urgency. Time itself seems to thicken here, like steam settling over stone. To your right, an attendant offers you a smile and a towel. Behind him, a bench rests beside shelves, each one marked with a painted number. This is the apoditium, the undressing room, where garments are folded, jewelry removed, and the day's worries quietly set aside. But we shall explore that in the next chapter. For now, let us simply rest in this space. Let us breathe in the mingled aromas of cedar, citrus, and stone. Let us feel the warmth begin to rise through the floor beneath our feet. The bathhouse waits. There is no single source of sound, no dominating voice, just the ambient symphony of a place alive with human presence, yet wrapped in reverence. It is a gathering place, yes, but also a sanctuary, not of silence necessarily, but of civility. Here, voices soften, movements slow. Even laughter feels suspended, coated in steam. We have entered a rhythm older than memory, a ritual carved into marble and repeated daily by thousands, citizens, laborers, statesmen, scribes. This is Rome's wellness, its way of shedding the burdens of the outer world in exchange for quiet repose. Arched ceilings high above capture the last orange hues of sunlight through clear story windows. Their filtered glow strikes the floor mosaics below, revealing colored tesserae arranged in figures of dolphins, chariots, or gods in repose. Walls are painted with soft fresco scenes of Neptune guiding seahorses through azure waters, Venus emerging from a shell, Apollo strumming a lyre, his posture serene and composed. The colors are muted with age, yet dignified, like memories preserved on stone. Each feature of this space is designed to ease the mind, to lower the voice, to still the heart. An ideal, one where daily routine becomes graceful ritual. The entry process is slow and considered, almost like choreography. A bronze-haired man in his middle years pauses to greet a friend with a clasp of the forearm. Their exchange is briefly voiced and warm. One gestures toward the caldarium with a tilt of the head, as if to say, "Shall we?" Another peels away toward the palestro, the exercise yard, to stretch his limbs before entering the tepidarium. Some begin with a walk through the gymnasium or take a light massage. Others go straight to the warm pools. A few simply sit and breathe, soaking in the ambience like a dry sponge drinks the first drop of water. We, however, follow the most traditional path, beginning at the tepidarium, the changing room, before letting the steam guide us deeper. They are known as capsary young men who tend to the garments, oils, and valuables of bathers. Their movements are practiced, almost ritualistic. One offers us a folded towel. Another gestures politely toward a vacant cubby, hole-numbered and inscribed with simple markings for memory. Laid out on a nearby bench are slender bronze scrapers called frigidariums. Their curves are elegant, meant for cleansing oil and sweat from the skin after the heat of the baths. Beside them, small glass vials glint with golden-hued oils, spikenard, lavender, pine, and rosemary. Their scents float on the air in barely perceptible threads. A polished box holds bits of pumice stone used for exfoliation. Another has combs and fine cloths. Everything has its place. Nothing is rushed. The merchant's rings and the farmer's sandals rest side by side in shared cubbyholes. All are equal in their near-nakedness, their vulnerability, and their need for respite. In the heat of the caldarium or the cool silence of the frigidarium, no one knows who owns villas and who shares tenements. Conversations are born between strangers. Old friends reunite in passing. Scholars quote poetry to those who will listen, and sometimes even those who won't. But silence, too, is honored here. To feel fully what it means to be alive in the body. Beneath our feet, far below the smooth marble floor, runs the hidden lifeblood of the bathhouse. Heated air flows through hypocaust-raised floors, supported by pillars of tile warming the walls and floors of the caldarium. Water, drawn from distant springs, travels miles via aqueduct, filtered and pooled with precision. And as we walk the halls of this sanctuary, it is easy to forget the labor, the innovation, the silent work that makes it all possible. That, perhaps, is the greatest magic of the Roman bathhouse. Its ability to soothe the mind while humbling it, the warm scent of cypress and vetiver clings to the walls. In the corners of rooms, bowls of dried herbs sit beside incense trays. Occasionally, a soft puff of smoke lifts into the air, perfumed and ancient. Light shifts as we move, growing dimmer, more diffuse. Some areas are lit only by high-set oculi or the flicker of carefully placed lanterns. Shadows deepen. The mood quiets. It is not darkness, but invitation, an invitation to slow down. We pass a man sitting alone on a bench, eyes closed, head tilted toward a warm breeze drifting from a vent. He looks neither troubled nor elated, simply at peace. A woman walks with a young girl at her side, their hands brushing. They do not need to. In another corner, two elderly men lean close together, whispering about some political affair with faintly amused smiles. Their feet dangle above the floor like children. There are no declarations or revelations, but within them is something far greater, the quiet dignity of ordinary life. Along one gallery, beyond a row of Ionic columns, lies a small resting alcove. It contains low couches, lectus draped in clean linen. A bronze brazier glows in the corner, warming the space to a gentle, embracing heat. Others pause to sip a mixture of honeyed water or diluted wine, not enough to intoxicate, just enough to soften the world's edge. You are free to sit, no schedule. The bathhouse unfolds not as a destination, but as a journey. We have now walked the perimeter of our rituals beginning. The tepidarium lies just ahead. Sweat and silence. Take a moment, one long, quiet moment to breathe. Feel the stone beneath your feet. Feel the warmth in the air. Smell the oils, the herbs, the faint tinge of earth and water that hangs between these ancient walls. You are not merely visiting a place. You are stepping into history, into the lived experience of millions who came before. They walked these halls, they felt these same stones, they whispered prayers to the same gods, and now their echoes brush your shoulders like a linen robe. We will lay aside not only garments, but also burdens. We will begin the transition from outer world to inner world, from tension to tranquility. The bathhouse awaits. We now come to a space both simple and sacred. The tepidarium, the changing room, is not a place of great fanfare. There are no fountains here, no pools, no elaborate mosaics of myth or sea creatures. And yet, it is the quiet threshold between the external world and the inner sanctum of restoration. Here, one removes the garments of the day, folds away the emblems of identity, and begins the process not only of physical preparation, but of spiritual unwinding. It is a space of humility, of shedding, a room in which many things visible and invisible are laid aside. Let us step inside. The door swings open on well-worn hinges. Inside, the air is warmer than the corridors, but not yet heavy with steam. The walls are lined with small alcoves, or loculi, carved into the masonry, simple recesses for clothing, sandals, oil vials, and personal tokens. Each is marked with a number, scratched, or painted in terracotta red pigment. The light is low, yet clear, provided by narrow slits near the ceiling and a series of mounted clay oil lamps. Their flickering glow reflects off polished bronze mirrors and the occasional patch of inlaid marble. Benches run along the walls, carved from smooth travertine and worn to softness by generations of bathers. They invite rest and transition. There is no hurry here, no urgency to disrobe. The act is not mechanical, it is deliberate, a form of mindfulness. First, the belt is loosened, then the tunic is lifted slowly over the shoulders. It slips down with a quiet sigh, like a curtain falling after a day's performance. Jewelry is removed, a signet ring, perhaps, or a carved pendant of a household deity, and placed gently in a pouch or beside a folded cloth. Even sandals, dusty from the road, are treated with care. Shaken, clean, bound together, and placed in a designated space. Some bathers have slaves or attendants who assist. Others perform the ritual alone with practiced ease. What matters is not how, but why. This is the beginning of release, a soft disentangling from the material, a symbolic return to the body itself. And as the final layer falls away, there is no shame, only neutrality. In this space, all bodies are bodies. No one stares, no one judges. This is not a place of vanity, but of vulnerability, honored with quiet respect. There is something profoundly calming about the first touch of warm air on bare skin. It's not hot, not yet, but enveloping, the kind of warmth that seeps into the chest and unwinds the shoulders, almost involuntarily. The walls, still radiating heat from the afternoon sun, offer a subtle thermal embrace. The bench is cool at first, then gives way to one's temperature, adapting like a second skin. Even the sounds here are different. Clothes rustle, feet shift, vessels clink, but all within a softened auditory palette. The world muted. You can hear your own breath, feel your pulse in your fingertips. The inward senses awaken. A small clay flask is opened. Inside, olive oil, sometimes infused with herbs or petals, glistens gold in the lamplight. It is poured slowly into a shallow bowl or directly onto the skin. The bathers begin to anoint themselves, or, in some cases, one another. Friends help friends. Fathers oil their sons. Slaves tend to their masters with gentle, practiced hands. The oil is not thick. It is absorbed easily, nourishing the skin and preparing it for the heat of the bath. It also serves another function, allowing impurities and sweat to rise more easily to the surface, to be scraped away later with the curved spatula. Some massage it in using circular motions, especially around the shoulders, joints, and lower back. Areas that carry stress, places often forgotten in the rush of daily life. Now, however, there is time, plenty of it, and nothing to do but feel. The scent rises subtly, lavender, bay leaf, a hint of pine. One bather hums softly, a lullaby, perhaps, under their breath, not for performance, but out of calm. A few mirrors line the walls, polished to a high sheen, not for vanity, not in this place, but for self-awareness. A man studies the curve of his shoulder, the healing of a scar. A woman tilts her head to study her braided hair before unpinning it. A young boy looks at himself with shy curiosity, touching the soft space where his ribs meet. These are not glances of critique, they are moments of recognition. In the apoditarium, one sees oneself without armor, without ornament, and somehow that is enough. While some speak quietly with companions about politics, philosophy, or the weather, others remain silent. There is no expectation to converse. Silence is not awkward here, it is honored. A man reads a scroll in one corner, mouthing the words with reverence. The poetry of Horace, perhaps, or Seneca, something to occupy the mind while the body prepares. Another scribbles a note onto a wax tablet, carefully avoiding oil-slicked fingers. There is no rush, no pressure, just the slow settling of the self. Once the undressing is complete, clothing and valuables are entrusted to the care of the capsary, the bath attendants who guard the cubbyholes with quiet diligence. They do not speak much, but their presence is reassuring. A nod, a hand placed gently on the shoulder, a number indicated with a long finger. For those who can afford it, a few coins are pressed into the hand. For others, a polite, gracious suffices. A pouch of personal effects, a stylus, a ring, a figurine of Mercury is tucked into the loculus. The door is closed, a tiny latch secured. It is, in many ways, the final door between outer world and inner sanctuary. The apoditium is not only about the removal of clothes, it is about the shedding of weight, mental burdens, social roles, expectations, the masks we wear. Here, none of that is necessary. The merchant is not selling, the soldier is not fighting, the mother is not instructing, the scholar is not debating. Here, each person is simply a bather, a soul in flesh, suspended between heat and water. One can feel the shift, a lightning, as if the very air begins to lift us from within. Before stepping toward the next chamber, the tepidarium, we pause, not to check a clock, there are none, not to gather belongings, we have left them, but to acknowledge the moment, a moment of readiness, of acceptance, of presence. We are no longer merely visitors, we are now participants. We have joined the lineage of thousands who, day after day, over centuries, came to this space with a simple, shared desire to feel better, to be clean, yes, but also to be whole. The doorway ahead is arched, rimmed in sculpted stone. Beyond it lies the tepidarium, the warm room. Steam curls faintly through its opening, like the breath of a sleeping god. Our skin glistens softly with oil. Our shoulders are loose. Our minds are still. We step forward. The ritual deepens. The threshold is warm beneath your feet. As you step beyond the archway, the air around you shifts, growing denser, thicker with humidity. It doesn't press or choke, it embraces. The sensation is one of soft compression, like being slowly wrapped in an invisible shawl of vapor and warmth. This is the tepidarium, the warm room, neither hot nor cold. It is a sanctuary of balance, of gentle awakening. Here, the heat is not meant to shock or cleanse, but to soothe, to prepare, to nudge the body into deeper awareness while keeping the mind at ease. It is the first breath of true relaxation, where time begins to loosen its grip. The room is long and symmetrical, built with precision but adorned with softness. Walls of burnished terracotta arch into a vaulted ceiling, high above, catching and circulating the rising warmth. They're lined with niches containing statues: Venus reclining, Apollo serenely strumming a lyre. Their marble skin misted with condensation, their expressions distant yet somehow calming. Mosaics carpet the floor in patterns of scrollwork and sea creatures, dolphins dancing between the feet of bathers, shells spiraling inward toward the center of the room. The windows are high slits, just enough to let in the mellow gold of the setting sun, now filtered through steam. Shafts of light cut across the room like fingers of Apollo himself, gilding the mist in a faint glow. Oil lamps burn in metal brackets, their flicker adding texture to the haze. The walls seem to hum not with sound, but with warmth. They radiated gently, the product of Rome's architectural brilliance, the hypocaust system, silently channeling hot air beneath the floors and through the walls, bringing life to stone. The tepidarium exists to help the body transition. It is not yet time for the intense heat of the caldarium, nor the cold plunge of the frigidarium. Here you simply arrive, not in haste, but in intention. Your pores begin to open. Your muscles, once stiff with the day's labors, begin to lengthen and yield. The skin tingles not sharply, but with a slow, inward pulse. Even the joints sneeze, elbows, fingers seem to sigh as the warmth finds them. It is in this room that the day's burdens, already loosened in the tepidarium, begin to dissolve. A slave boy walks through the chamber quietly, carrying a shallow bronze bowl filled with warm water and crushed herbs. He sprinkles it over a glowing stone vent set in the floor, releasing a fresh burst of scented, steamy eucalyptus and rosemary with a whisper of citrus. The vapor rises slowly, curling through the air like smoke from a sacred altar. Another bowl is set beside a seated bather, this one containing rose water. He dips a cloth into the basin and dabs it against his neck. The scent, subtle and floral, joins the atmosphere without dominating it. There is no single smell in the tepidarium, only layers, all gentle, the oil of the skin, the herbs in the water, the ancient, clean scent of heated stone. Together, they form something both ancient and intimate, the aroma of renewal. You take a place along one of the walls, where a low bench has been covered with linen and warmed by the radiant floor. You recline, not fully lying down, not quite seated. Your back is supported, your legs extended, your palms rest loosely by your sides. Others do the same. To your left, a man with a scroll in his lap lets his eyes drift closed. The scroll slips gently to the floor. He does not stir. To your right, two women speak in low, rhythmic tones, pausing often, not because they have lost their place, but because silence is welcomed here like a third companion. Everywhere, breath, the sound of it, the feel of it, not hurried, not strained, just there. Something happens in this space, a subtle shift from outward awareness to inner. The warmth doesn't merely touch the skin, it sinks into memory. It loosens things long held in place. Perhaps you think of nothing at all, letting your mind float like oil on water. Or perhaps a moment from earlier in the day drifts back, a conversation, a face, a feeling, and, now seen through the haze, it feels distant, softened, manageable. Many bathers report feeling a kind of dreamlike state here. Not sleep, but something between. Thoughts come, then go, without force. They are like steam appearing, dancing briefly, and vanishing. This is where philosophy often begins, or prayer, or poetry, not from effort, but from ease. In one corner, a young boy recites a line of Virgil softly, as if rehearsing. Mens agitat molem, the mind moves matter. An older man, eyes closed, smiles faintly and nods. Very good, he whispers, before saying nothing more. Elsewhere, an exchange about olive prices, or a wife's pregnancy, or the dream of a small vineyard someday in Campania. But none of these topics carries weight here. They pass like the steam heard and then forgotten. Even politics, which normally pulses through the streets of Rome like blood, fades here. Titles, debates, ambitions, they melt away in this warmth. What remains is presence. At a small basin near the center of the room, a man prepares to cleanse. He has oiled his body, letting the warm air and moisture draw impurities from his pores. Now he takes up a stridula, slender, curved tool made of bronze. With slow, practiced strokes, he draws it across his arms, his shoulders, his legs. The sound is light, almost melodic, a soft sheck, followed by a pause, then another. Oil, sweat, and residue collect on the metal, then are wiped away with a linen cloth. A servant assists an older woman nearby, scraping her back and applying more oil with respectful care. This, too, is ritual. Ancient, practical, tender. It is not violent. It is not hurried. It is purification through motion. One loses track of time here. There are no clocks, no schedules, no announcements, only the pulse of the body, the feel of air, the shifting light. Some may spend 15 minutes here, others nearly an hour. No one asks, no one minds. And when the body is ready, when the warmth has fully entered the bones, there is a sensation not of decision, but of movement without thought, a gentle pull like a current. It is time to go deeper. A dark arch waits at the end of the chamber, mist curling from its edges, like breath from the mouth of a cave. There, behind the marble columns, lies the caldarium, the hot room, the place of fire and sweat, of profound cleansing. You rise slowly, feeling your spine lengthen and your limbs light. The oil on your skin has been absorbed or wiped away. Your breathing is slow. Your senses are quiet. Your mind still. You feel both heavy and free. As you walk, the stone beneath your feet grows warmer, the air denser, the scent stronger. But you are not afraid. The body remembers this. The soul welcomes it. You step forward. Beyond the mist-veiled arch, you enter the warmest chamber of the Roman bathhouse, the caldarium. The air changes immediately. It is no longer simply warm, but encompassing. It wraps around the body with the full presence of heat, not hostile, but firm. There is density to the air here, a gentle pressure on the chest that quiets speech and softens thought. The humidity carries a weight of memory. The scent is richer, of olive oil warmed on skin, of mineral water drawn from ancient aqueducts, of marble warmed by fire from beneath. In this space, the body begins to surrender. The caldarium is domed, vast, and womb-like, designed to hold heat, to magnify it, to reflect it inward. The walls, polished smooth, are coated in a fine sheen of condensation. The floor beneath your feet is warmer than before, made of tiles, with heat rising from the hypocaust system below, where slaves tend the glowing braziers out of sight. Their fires keep this world alive, their labor quiet but essential. The ceiling arches high above like the interior of a great amphora. Light pours in through a central oculus, a circular skylight at the apex of the dome, sending shafts of brightness that mingle with rising steam. Sunlight diffused through vapor becomes soft, radiant, almost divine. Water drips steadily from the edges of the ceiling. Each drop is like a heartbeat, slow, predictable, reassuring. The space feels sacred, not by decree, but by experience. Your first full inhale in the caldarium is deep, involuntary. The warm air fills your lungs, opening them, coaxing your ribs to expand with a kind of peaceful urgency. And then, a slow, releasing exhale. The pores open fully now. Skin begins to glisten. Beads of sweat emerge along the collarbone, across the brow, down the small of the back, not from exertion, but from simple being. The body recognizes this environment. It remembers, and it responds. The shoulders drop, the eyes narrow softly, the jaw often clenched without notice. Unknots, the heart slows, not from weariness, but from surrender. At the center of the room lies a shallow marble pool, alveus, filled with hot water, not boiling, but heated enough to wrap the body in full warmth. It ripples gently. Steam rises from its surface in slow spirals. The water is infused with herbs, perhaps chamomile or bay leaves, floating in quiet constellations along the edge. A few bathers are already immersed. Their movements are minimal. One rests their head against the marble rim, eyes closed. Another runs a wet cloth over his neck in meditative repetition. You lower yourself in slowly, first the feet, then the legs, then the rest, until only the shoulders and head remain above the surface. The temperature surrounds you. It is enveloping, but not harsh. There is no shock, no sting, only immersion. It is a return to water, to the element that cradled life itself. You lean back against the basin wall. The marble is smooth, warmed to perfection. The silence is complete, not from absence of sound, but from its muffled presence. The chamber absorbs noise. Voices are hushed to whispers. Footsteps barely echo. The steam rises in gentle clouds, clinging to eyelashes, beating on lips. Time drips like condensation from the ceiling, slowly, rhythmically, without urgency. You may sit here for minutes, or many. There is no right number. A few bathers leave, to return again. Some recline on warmed benches nearby, wrapped in linen cloths. Others remain submerged, motionless. No one speaks unless necessary. Even then, the voice is slow, low, and soft, as if not to disturb the sanctity of this heat. As your body settles, your mind begins to detach, not in the chaotic way of dreams or distraction, but in clarity, in suspension. Thoughts drift up like steam, unbidden, free of narrative. There is no need to solve or fix, just to witness. You may recall the smell of morning bread, or the curve of a loved one's smile, or the sound of birds echoing across the forum. They come not to distract, but to decorate. The mind, like the body, is not empty. It is just quieter, slower. There is space here, space to be. Somewhere nearby, a bather takes a small amphora and pours warmed oil along his shoulder. A servant, trained in the art of bodily care, uses the strigil to scrape away the old, the spent, the loosened. Each stroke is careful, curved metal sliding along flesh with precision. It is not a harsh act, it is a loving one, like sweeping away dust before laying a fresh cloth. You may partake or not. There is no pressure, no sequence, only intuition. Heat in ancient Rome was not just a luxury, it was a force, a kind of sacred offering. Temples had fires that burned continuously. Families kept hearths at home where spirits dwelled. And in the caldarium, the fire lived beneath your feet, warming not only the stones, but the soul. There is something deeply primordial in heat. It reminds us that we are flesh, that we can soften, that we are made to feel. Here in the caldarium, the fire is not outside of you. It is in you, rising, pulsing, cleansing. You close your eyes. You hear your own breath. You feel the pulse in your hands, the rhythm of your heart, slow and sure. There is nothing to do, nothing to prove, nowhere to go. The water moves slightly against your skin, as if breathing with you. And for this moment, this perfect, temporary, precious moment, you are complete. Eventually, the body speaks, quietly. It does not complain. It simply whispers that it is ready, that the warmth has done its work, that it wishes to return to balance. This is not fatigue, it is fulfillment. You rise slowly from the basin, water streaming from your limbs in silver lines. The air, though still warm, now feels cooler by contrast. A linen cloth is offered. You accept it. Wrap yourself loosely. Let the heat dissipate in peace. You step away from the steam, toward the cool. At the far end of the chamber, behind another curved doorway, lies a new world. A world of still water, of cold air, of clarity. It does not shock, it invites. The frigidarium, the final stage of the ritual, waits to seal the experience, to cool the fire, to bring the body and mind into gentle balance. You step forward, grateful, quiet, whole. The cleansing is nearly complete. You step slowly from the embrace of the caldarium, skin warm, breath calm, heart steady. And as you pass through the arch into the frigidarium, the change is immediate, subtle yet profound. A soft kiss of cool air grazes your cheeks. The vapor that once clung to your skin now dissipates into invisible threads. You have entered the final act of the bathhouse ritual. The world has shifted. Here in the frigidarium, clarity returns. The edges of the world, once blurred in steam and heat, now take on crisp form, and the body, refreshed, awakened, readies itself for The room is smaller, quieter. It is the eye of the storm, the stillness after exhale. The frigidarium is often the most architecturally restrained of the spaces, yet it is no less beautiful. Its stone is pale, perhaps marble or limestone, polished and gleaming beneath the steady glow of oil lamps. The light here is softer, dimmed slightly, as if to guide the body gently out of ritual and back toward the outer world. At the room's center lies a pool, rectangular, deep, and still. The water within is cold, drawn from spring-fed reservoirs or stored beneath the bathhouse in cool cisterns. Its surface reflects the ceiling in perfect symmetry, like a mirror untouched. You stand at its edge. All is calm. There is often a pause here. The heat has lulled you into softness, and the coolness beckons. But it is not a command, it is an invitation, a whisper from the water. Some bathers sit by the pool first, letting their feet trail into the surface, feeling the contrast, the awakening. Others descend slowly down the marble steps, one foot, then the other, the body following, with breath held and released. And some, without hesitation, glide fully beneath the surface, like a final surrender to peace. You decide your pace, your rhythm, your readiness. You take the first step. The water rises up your calves, a kiss of cold that rushes upward in a wave of sensation. Not painful, not shocking, just real, present, alive. Another step to your knees, then your waist. The body tightens slightly, a reflex, but then softens, adapts. You lower yourself fully until only your shoulders and head remain above water. The cold surrounds you, embraces you, and something inside becomes very still. Time slows, the world narrows, not in constriction, but in clarity. There is only the sensation of water, the sound of your breath, the rise and fall of your chest. The coolness does not disturb you, it centers you. Thoughts that once wandered, they arrive gently, stay briefly, and pass, leaving a clearer mind behind. The frigidarium is a place not only of bodily closure, but of mental renewal. You are not the same person who entered the bathhouse. That version of you has been warmed, soothed, scraped, clean, and now cooled into peace, quiet, still. You notice the presence of others. One man leans against the edge of the pool, eyes open, gazing upward. Perhaps he is watching the ceiling mosaic, a painted sky ringed with birds in flight. A woman sits on the lowest stair, arms wrapped around her knees, hair wet and trailing behind her like seaweed. Her gaze is unfocused, inward. A boy and his father wade to the other side, laughing softly between them, their voices muffled by the space and its respectful hush. No one lingers long in the frigidarium, but each minute is lived deeply. When you rise from the water, the air feels brisk, cleansing. A towel is offered, its linen crisp against your damp skin. You do not rush to dry off. The sensation of the cool air on wet limbs is oddly pleasant. A final, quiet conversation between body and environment. The oil from earlier, the sweat of the caldarium, the fatigue from the day, all of it has been replaced by freshness. The coolness seeps into the bones, not to chill, but to seal, to protect, to hold the warmth within like an ember banked for the evening. You sit on a nearby bench, fresh linen draped over your shoulders, your hair still damp, your breath steady. The sounds of the bathhouse are distant now, more echo than presence. This is the moment many choose for prayer or a final thought. You may whisper a thank you to the gods, to Salis, goddess of health, to Somnus, spirit of sleep, to your ancestors. Or you may simply sit, breathing in silence. The ritual is complete, but its effects ripple onward, far beyond these walls. You walk through the cooler corridors, passing the tepidarium once again. Your garments are returned, neatly folded, warmed by the wall. You dress slowly, feeling the weight of fabric with new awareness. The world awaits, but it does not rush you. You exit beneath the same arch you entered, now not as a seeker of rest, but as one renewed. Outside, the sun has lowered. The sky is turning a deep indigo, stars pricking the dusk like silver pinholes. The lamps are lit in the streets. Rome is quieting. But within you there is a deep hum of peace. Water has always held power. It shapes land, nourishes life, washes away. But here in the bathhouse, water is not an external element. It is internal. In breath, in sweat, in tears, in stillness. The Romans understood this, that to return to water is to return to balance, and that ritual practiced not in grandeur but in gentleness gives life rhythm. The frigidarium closes the cycle, warmth to cool, fire to breath, body to spirit. You have emerged whole. The body is light now, free from the pull of fatigue. The mind is spacious, clear of clutter. The heart beats not with haste, but with calm. As you walk home, sandals brushing the cobblestones, you pass others doing the same. Faces softened, eyes reflective. Tomorrow will come. Its needs and duties will arrive in turn. But for tonight, you are full, and the stars above, silent and ancient, seem to nod in quiet approval. The bath is complete.
The air outside the bathhouse is cool, still touched with the memory of daylight. You step out beneath a sky now deepening into velvet, the final indigo of twilight stretching across the city's rooftops. Stars begin to appear, slowly, like shy candles flickering into place. Your skin carries the echo of warmth, your breath the rhythm of silence, and your body, newly light, newly whole, moves as if through water still. You have left the bathhouse, but it has not left you. Rome at night is different. Gone is the din of the forum, the cries of merchants, the hammering of blacksmiths in narrow alleys. What remains is softer, filtered through evening and memory. You walk slowly, not from fatigue, but from fullness. The kind of slow that only comes after deep restoration. The lamps are lit now. Small clay bowls of flickering oil line the thresholds of homes, shops, and streets. Their light dances on the walls, playing against frescoes and shadows. A dog stretches by a doorway, sighing into sleep. A young couple walks past you, speaking in low tones, their laughter soft and unhurried. This is a city no longer striving, but settling, no longer reaching, but resting. There is no need to hurry home. This is the kind of evening meant for meandering, for walking simply to feel one's feet upon the stones, to watch the city unfold in its most vulnerable state, uncloaked, quiet, at peace. The scent of jasmine drifts from a garden wall. Somewhere, a fig has fallen and split on the pavement, its sweetness rising in the night air. The scent mingles with hints of warmed clay, worn linen, and distant wood smoke. You pass a man sitting outside his home on a stool, sipping from a cup of watered wine. He nods gently as you go, not to greet, simply to acknowledge your shared place in this hour. And so you continue, not toward something, but with something, with ease. You pause near a small temple, perhaps to Minerva or Vesta. Its steps are empty, its doorway lit by 2 small flames. No priests now, no offerings, just presence. You stand before it, not in worship, but in stillness, in gratitude. The gods of Rome, like the bathhouses, live in rhythm, in water, in flame, in silence. Their names spoken not only in ceremony, but in daily acts, bathing, resting, greeting, sleeping. You whisper a thank you, or perhaps nothing at all. The flame flickers, the marble breathes. You move on. Eventually, you arrive at a small domus, your home for the evening. Its threshold is simple, the wooden door slightly ajar. Inside, a soft light glows from the atrium. A servant has lit the household lamps. A bowl of fruit rests on the table. Bread wrapped in cloth. A cup prepared. This is not a feast, not a banquet. This is nourishment. You wash your hands in a basin of cool water, dry them on linen. You tear a piece of bread, dipping it in oil. The crust cracks softly. You chew slowly. Olives, figs, a piece of cheese. A few sips of watered wine, enough to settle the mind. You eat alone, or perhaps with someone dear, and either way, it is enough. There is no talking, unless you choose it. There is no music, unless from memory. Only the gentle closing of the day's circle. You move to the desk, where a wax tablet awaits. You take the stylus, its wooden handle warm in your hand, and write slowly. I visited the baths today. My shoulders feel lighter. My thoughts are calm. I watched the light on the ceiling of the frigidarium. I remembered to breathe. You smooth the wax with a warm hand. The thoughts are not for posterity, not for legacy, just for presence. You close the tablet, set it aside, and exhale. The sleeping space is modest. A cot of woven rope, covered in wool. A small chest at its side. A shelf with a statuette of Somnus, god of sleep, reclining with a horn in hand. You change into a light tunic, slip beneath the covering. The weight is gentle, protective. Your skin feels clean, warm, then cool, balanced. You adjust the lamp, turning the wick down until the room is cast in soft shadow, gold fading into dusk. One final breath in, one long breath out. Sleep, in the Roman mind, was not simply rest. It was visitation, a journey, a time when dreams were sent from gods, when messages were carried through shadow, when one could be renewed not just in body, but in soul. And so you surrender, without fear, without tension. You listen to your breath, to your pulse, to the quiet beyond the city walls. And as your eyes close, you are not alone. You carry with you the bathhouse, its warmth, its rhythm, its silence, and you drift. In the water we released, In the steam, we softened. In the stillness, we remembered. And now, in sleep, we return. Sleep, the final ritual, the oldest ceremony of all. After the warmth of the caldarium, the stillness of the frigidarium, and the silence of the night walk home, there remains only this, the surrender to rest. To sleep, in the Roman world, was to cross a threshold, not simply from day to night, but from waking into dreaming, from noise into quiet, from action into being. It was not feared. It was revered. You lie in a modest bed, its linen soft, its wool blankets heavy with comfort. The walls are bare, or painted in quiet color, ochre, clay red, faded green. A fresco of a winged figure, perhaps, drifts across one wall, not watching, only accompanying. Above your bed sits a carved figure of somnus, the personification of sleep, not frightening, not stern, but youthful. Reclined, eyes closed, a horn in one hand, the instrument of dreams. Romans believed that through sleep, one entered the realm of oniroi, the dream spirits, who drifted silently through the night, bearing messages from the gods. To sleep was to let go of self, to receive, to dream. Before bed, the flame of the household lamp is lowered. A final flicker, gold melting into shadow, and then the hush of darkness. The body, freshly cleansed and warm, sinks easily into the cot. The scent of olive oil still lingers faintly on your skin. Your hair is damp, now drying slowly in the cool of the room. Each muscle, each joint, lies quiet, their work done for the day. There is no clutter, no noise, no obligation, only the breath, and the dark, and the softness that follows. Romans often left small offerings before sleep, a fig, a splash of wine, a whispered word, to gods and spirits of the night. They did not see dreaming as random. They believed dreams were sent, delivered, from Mercury, god of messengers, from Apollo, god of prophecy, or from ancestral spirits, returning with reminders, warnings, or comfort. Some consulted interpreters. Others simply listened. But all understood this. To dream was to be open. And to sleep, truly sleep, was to be touched by something sacred. You do not remember when the mind begins to drift. Only that your breath grows longer. Your thoughts looser. You are floating now. Memories rise and dissolve. The sound of water echoing through the bathhouse, the warm bench of the tepidarium, the glint of light on marble in the caldarium. Faces pass you, some known, some imagined. A texture of linen, the cool of the stone step beneath your foot, a ripple of light across the frigidarium's pool. All of it returns, not as thoughts, but as sensations. You are dreaming before you know it, and dreaming peacefully. The body rests, the mind wanders, and somewhere between both, a deeper self awakens, not to act, but to witness, not to do, but to receive. This is why the Romans bathed, not only to cleanse the skin, but to prepare the soul, to meet the gods in dreams, to find renewal not just in heat and water, but in the long, slow unraveling of sleep. You are part of that tradition now. You have walked the baths, felt the warmth, stepped into the cool, and now you rest. May your sleep be long, may your dreams be kind. May you wake as the Romans did, restored, refreshed, and whole. Sleep well.